So we're going to continue working with angle measurement and ways to measure angles. And now we're going to talk about another type of measuring unit. So just like in measuring length, I could measure in inches or centimeters or meters or feet. When I'm measuring in angles, I can measure in degrees, and I can express those degrees either in decimal notation or degree, minute, and second notation, or I can express in radians. Okay, so a radian is just going to be another unit for measuring angles. The degree to radian conversion is that pi radians is going to be equivalent to 180 degrees. So this is what we're going to use when converting between our different units. Since we're still converting between units, we're still going to use those wonder fractions. So this should be a fairly quick video. There's 4 examples. On each of these, I'm going to convert to the one that I'm not given. So if I'm given in degrees, I'm going to convert to radians. I know it's in degrees if it has a degree symbol. Oftentimes, we do not put a unit with radians. So if there is no unit, it means it's radians. Okay, units are not necessary with radians. Sometimes you'll see them referred to as rads. So I'm going to go ahead and look at the first one. So I have 135 degrees. I'm going to change that, therefore, to radians. And I'm going to always put my answer on these in exact form. Exact form means that if I have a fraction, I will leave it as a fraction. I'm not going to change anything to decimals. So taking 135 degrees, I'm going to want to get rid of degrees, so I'm going to put degrees on the bottom. And for now, I'm going to go ahead and write my unit in for radians, so I'm going to put rads on top. I have pi radians equivalent to 180 degrees. Now, in order to stay in exact form, rather than punch that into my calculator, I'm just going to reduce. So my degrees will cancel. 135 and 180 are both divisible by 5. This becomes 27. 180 becomes 36. Those are divisible more, but I'm going to rewrite it before I reduce any further just to make it not so sloppy. I get 27 pi over 36, which reduces by 9, leaving me with 3 pi over 4. And again, I do not need units, but for now I will add them on. Looking at example B, I have negative 30 degrees. So since I'm in degrees, I'm going to go to radians. I'm going to go through the exact same process. I start with what I'm given. I want to, and actually to save room, I'm just going to use what I'm given. I want to multiply with degrees on the bottom and radians on top. Pi radians is equal to 180 degrees. Because I want to be in exact form, I'm going to go ahead and reduce. So I'm going to go ahead and reduce top and bottom. I'm going to start by reducing them both by 10, giving me negative 3 and 18. My degrees cancel out. I know that negative 3 and 18 can still be both reduced further. So I'm going to go ahead and say this is negative 3 pi over 18, which gives me a final answer of negative pi over 6. On the next 2 examples, I don't have units, which leads me to believe that these are in radians. So I'm going to change to degrees. So let's see, let's look first at this letter C. So I'm going to take what I'm given, and I want to get to degrees. So when I multiply by my wonder fraction, I want my degrees on top, which means my radians goes on the bottom. And I'm going to say 180 degrees in pi radians. Again, I want my answer to be in exact form, so I'm going to go ahead and reduce. I'm going to cross out my pi's. I know 3 and 180 can both be divided by 3, so I'm going to make 3 become 1, and I'm going to make 80 become 60 degrees. Now I'm just going to go ahead and multiply straight across the top, straight across the bottom, giving me 120. And it looks like I don't have anything left on the bottom. Everything's 1. Remember, the units don't often get written with radians, so technically radians was here, so this radians is getting canceled out, leaving me with just 120 degrees. One final example. I take what I'm given. Again, I know it's radians since there is no unit. I want to multiply by a wonder fraction with degrees on top. I know there's 180 degrees in pi radians. I'm going to go ahead and start by reducing. So 180 and 4 can both be divided by 4, so that will become 1. That becomes 45 degrees. My pi's cancel out, leaving me with negative 3 times 45 on top. I'm going to go ahead and multiply those. That gives me negative 135. The degrees stays, and since I only have a 1 on the bottom, I don't need to write it. So remember, the unit that you want to cancel should go on bottom. What you're trying to get to goes on top. And then the equality that we're going to use is pi radians is 180 degrees. And that's it.